Okay, thought I'll make another video. After about 20 years, my rack is it's been leaking for a few years actually, but I was hoping I could just top it up with fluid and just keep using it, but I had to move the car in the garage and it stopped. There was no power and it actually leaked out completely. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so it's got to come out. So this is a left-hand drive Stag, and a couple of things you want to do, which I normally do, is disconnect the battery, but I was testing something and I forgot to disconnect the battery, and what happened was the universal joint that I disconnected, it dropped and it touched the this line which is directly from the battery. Saw a little bit of smoke. I have a quick disconnect, so I went up there, but yeah, I hope there's nothing long-term damage. But normally when I do work on the Stag, I disconnect the battery no matter what, and this was an example of why you should. There's the starter, this is a Mark 1 Stag. Starter motor cable comes all the way. The battery from the thick heavy-duty line from the battery comes directly to the starter motor, and there's a bolt there. I don't know if you can make out. Anyway, I've got a relay, external relay to run my original, well, I don't know if it was original, but I've had the starter motor for 20 years, had the click start issue, but this relay seemed to have addressed that. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about was, you know, the rack. Always take out the disconnect the universal joints, and this is left-hand drive Stag, so these might be for you. Always disconnect the left downpipe. Now the interesting thing is I've got a manual and an auto. This is my auto, and if you're doing everything solo, it becomes really difficult, because what's happened if I've undone this, but at that end I've undone the pipe what's it, the U-clamps at the other end, but the bracket is actually getting away of the bracket of the exhaust pipe is getting away of the transmission anchor point bracket, and so you can separate it maybe half an inch and then you have trouble. So if you're doing the solo, I have, the only way I can do this is I'm gonna have to push that exhaust down a bit more to get access to this. It has to come out. Another thing I've noticed is I thought I could wiggle it out of this small space, but this is an auto, and if you look, there's the pipes for the transmission oil cooler that interfering, so you need to be super careful. I may have to undo these brackets here to make a bit more room. Also, another thing, I've mentioned this before, there are folks who seem to have sorry about this, folks who seem to have one of these or two of these, and it depends on these things here, these brackets that are connected to the cross member. If there's slots on both sides, you need two. If there's slots on both sides, you need two to stop the rack sliding back sideways. If you have one, if you have one of these brackets has holes and not slots, then you only need one. I think my 71 February 71 Stag only needs one, but this is a May 71 that it seems like it needs two, and in the parts book there's two different part numbers, I think, for the left hand side or something. I already rebuilt this rack once, as I said, 20 years ago. It's coming out again, so it did pretty well. It was my first time ever doing a rack. I've done a handful of racks now. I'm pretty comfortable pulling these apart. Well, with the later control valve. This Stag, since I'm gonna take the steering column apart, I don't have a video on that, but I will make a video on the steering column, because there is a bit of play on the bottom bush on the column, so that will be done there. Okay, so sorry about the video. It's been more of a talk than really showing you anything.